Hello everyone, in today's video I'll be showing you how to configure the LCD display on MPLAB and PROTEUS. So first things first, let's open our MPLAB. Now as you can see here, we've got the standard program template for the PIC18F4550 chipset. Okay, so we're going to basic stuff here. This is the loop count 1, LCD control, RS, RW and EN. So we have to configure each of these depending on whether we want to send or receive data or send command. So for the question for today's video, write a code to read input from a keypad and 2 push buttons and display them on an LCD. Demonstrate the functionality of your code in PROTEUS. Below are the requirements. If the first push button is pressed, display your name on the first row of the LCD. If the second push button is pressed, display your student ID on the first row of the LCD. If any of the keypad button is pressed, display the number on the second row of the LCD. If nothing is pressed, the LCD should not display anything. Alright. So the first subroutine here we have is subroutine for the time delay, which is a standard knob macro, and this is a delay for 10 millisecond for 20 megahertz crystal, which is the standard operating time delay by operators. So basic stuff here, I've already explained in previous video how to calculate these particular values depending on what's the value of your crystal and how long would you like the time delay. Okay. So the second subroutine is subroutine for command code. So this is how to send a particular command through the LCD. These are the codes. This is the subroutine to send data. So if in case we want to send data, we'll have to use this subroutine here. We call this send data, the code to send data to LCD or display any output like an alphabet or a number. And next we have subroutine for my name, which is Narindan. My name, so first subroutine here, we're going to start cursor at first line. So this code is to start the cursor at the first line. No blinking cursor, just basic one. And we have the send alphabet A, N, A, R, E, N, T, H, A, N. So these are the different decimal values based on the ASCII table. So you can use the ASCII table to display any particular alphabet or number. So because my name is N-A-R-E-N, T-H-A-N, so I'm using these particular alphabets. Okay, so next is subroutine for my student ID. Same way, start cursor at first line. We'll call this my ID and DE95998. Okay. Next is subroutine for numbers. So if you refer back to our question, we are supposed to also configure the LCD to display any number if we press it from a keypad. So subroutine for numbers 1 to 9. So we got numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all with their respective decimal values. Display them on the LCD. So move literal value to register, working register, move working register to file, port D. Okay, so output or send data, basic stuff. Next is subroutine to on LCD display. So this code is used to on the LCD display with cursor off. So this is the subroutine to clear LCD display. So we use this code here to clear any previous output we have, like my student ID, and we want to clear that and put my name, and this is how we use it. Or we want to clear a number, we use clear LCD display so that it doesn't clash with the other output. It like display the output, clear, and display the second output. Next is subroutine to configure LCD. So depending on what we want, we can configure our LCD whether we want 1 line or 2 lines. So for this video, I'm going to show you how to configure the LCD using 2 lines 5x7 matrix. So that subroutine for keypad first row. So this is the code I'm going to use at start cursor at second line. Because based on the question, we are supposed to display any keypad number on the second line of the LCD display. So we start cursor at second line, and this is the code for which bit we need to clear and which bit we need to set depending on what row of the LCD, whether it's the first row, second row, third row, or fourth row. So I'm going to call this setup A. subroutine for keypad on the second row, which is the 456 numbers. This is 1, 2, 3. This is 456. This is setup B. All start at cursor at second line. Setup C for 7, 8, 9. And subroutine for fourth row, which is setup D, which is 0. The only number at the fourth line is the 0. And here we have a special subroutine for star and hashtag key. I will demonstrate what I actually input the star and hashtag key to output on the LCD display later on in the video when I show it in Proteus. So, but you can bear in mind or guess what would you like this decimal value to show, and you can try to check it out yourself based on the ASCII table. This is special number 2, so this is the star key and this is the hashtag key. So this is the main program. We're going to start by configuring trace. So we'll move literal value. This is port B, so we'll move working register file, move file to working register, and we're going to set bit 1, 2, and 3 as input and 0, 4, 5, 6, 7 as output. So that's how we set bit at port B, bit 1, 2, and 3 as input, and the rest all is output. So at port C, all of it is going to be the output, so I'll just clear F3C, and port D same as well, all output, so clear F3D. Next is configure 2 lines and find the 7 matrix. Now we've already done that, so we just call the name of the subroutine, call the subroutine config LCD. Next is call on LCD, call on that, so on LCD display with cursor off. So next is check. So what we're going to do this subroutine is we're going to check if button 1 is pressed. If not, we'll skip the next line. So if the button is pressed, it's going to display my ID, and if it's not pressed, it just clear LCD with clear branch to check 1, it'll check 1. Same thing here, we'll check button 2 is pressed. If button 2 is pressed, sorry, button 0, this is button 1. If button 1 is pressed, it will display my name, and if not, clear LCD with clear file, branch to show 1, so it'll move on. So basically what it does is check button 1 is pressed. If yes, display ID. No, move to check 1. Check 1, check if button 1 is pressed. Yes, display my name. No, move to show 1. So in show 1, we'll have the call setup A, because this is the first row, is show number 1, show number 2, show number 3. So call setup A for all of it. Next is bit test file skip set. So we're going to test port 1. So if I click the keypad button, it should make the bit at port 1, port B, bit 1 higher. So it will show 1 here, and if not, it will branch to show 2. So same thing, we'll check on port 2. If it's high, it will show call number 2. No, it will go to show 3 and show 3, and so on. So that's how it moves. So 4, 5, 6, same way, only thing we change the setup. Now from setup A, we use setup B. Show 4, show 5, show 6. Check bit 1, bits all same. 7, 8, 9, the same way, just use setup C. Okay, so after 9, which is we are going to branch to show special 1. So show special 1, I'll show you guys later in Proteus what does the star and hashtag key actually does. I'm leaving it till the end of this video, so I'll just bit clear file here, port 6, bit cell file port 7 to make the fourth row available for input output. So we're going to call special 1 here, test everything, branch same way, just different subroutine we're calling now. Instead of calling numbers, we're going to call the special 1. So next branch to 0, call 0, call number 0, and then branch to special 2, and once we've done that, we branch to check N. So what it does, if none of the button pressed, it goes back to check and test again whether 1 by 1 if anything is pressed. If no, it'll just keep looping itself over and over again. So let's build it first to see we have no error or anything. Make sure everything is fine. Okay, so build succeeded, that's fine. So basically we should set our configuration bits. Make sure they're all as the previous video I've shown below on how to configure bits, which is the HS oscillator and the watchdog timer disabled, single supply disabled. So I've already showed that this video. First we have to configure the bits. from the previous video, you can actually check it out. So once we've configured the bits, so let me just shrink this here. Okay, we'll go to Proteus now. So let's open our Proteus. Okay, so in Proteus, as you can see, I've already set up the diagram. Okay, so we've got PIC 18 here, LCD display here, ground, power, and RS, RWE all connected to port C, and these D1, D0, D7 all connected to port D. Now port A, I've left it blank in case we want to use it for something else, so we don't have to actually take up space. We can use these other ports, access ports here. So button to port C. This is blank, and port B is going to be the input output 1 2 3 here for the keypad, and here output for the keypad. So this is how you set it up. Ground, basic stuff. So let's run the program. Let me export the file first. So we've build succeeded. We'll export. Okay, LCD hex file, replace. So we go to Proteus. Now because mine is a 20 megahertz clock, so we'll set our clock frequency to 20 megahertz. So LCD display hex file. Okay, so we've already input the code. Now let's run it. Okay, so if you refer back to our question previously, if nothing is pressed, the LCD should not display anything. Now as you can see, the LCD is turned on, like this light green color is turned on, but it's not displaying anything. So let's try click button 1 first. So as you can see, if button 1 is pressed, it displays my name. Okay, let's try button 2. So button 2 is pressed, it displays my student ID. Now you can actually hold button 1 and it will display my name over and over again. And we can hold button 2 and do the same. Or we can hold both and it will display my name, clear LCD, and then my ID and clear LCD, and you just keep doing that. Okay, so it will just keep repeating itself. So yeah, so button 1 and button 2 solve the problem earlier, which is display name and display ID. Okay, so that's done. Now let's check for numbers. So if I press keypad 1 here, the outer circle now is currently black. So the outer circle of the number should turn white and should display 1 on the second row of the LCD. So let's try that. Okay, I'm pressing it, and yes, it's showing 1 on the LCD, second row. Try 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Okay, so all the numbers work, so we solved that. Now in the question, it wasn't specified what I should do with the star key and the hashtag key, so I decided to put my special input here. But before that, let's try to see if we can click all the buttons at the same time. So we're going to display my name, my ID, and let's try by pushing numbers. So yeah, it can actually do that. So you can actually use this code, put your name, ID with the button hold down, and display whatever number you want. 7, 8, 9, back to 1, 0, 2, 3. Yeah, so you can do that. Now since everything is working, we have technically solved the main part of the question, which is, let's go back to the question here. Okay, so we solved it. Let me just slide that up. Okay, so first button push is pressed, so I've shown you that it displays my name. And second push button pressed, display my ID on the first row. That's correct. Any keypad button is pressed, it display number on the second row. And if nothing is pressed, the LCD should not display anything. So yeah, so the basic the question that is given to us has already been solved. We have created a program that actually does that. Nothing is pressed, no display. Button 1 is pressed, my name. Button 2 is pressed, ID. And then we have the numbers here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So yeah, Okay, everything basic stuff all done. So it wasn't specified star and hashtag key one to display any particular one, so I decided to put one myself. So if you would like to copy the code here, you can check it out on GitHub. I will leave a link in the description below and put a code on how I actually did the subroutine on GitHub, so you may copy it and use it for yourself. But if you don't have GitHub or anything, you can actually pause the video, screenshot it. So let me just show you top till bottom. This subroutine for time delay, subroutine for command code, send data, subroutine for my name. Like you can put your name here also, just follow the particular decimal value on the ASCII code and you can display whatever you want. Okay, subroutine for my student ID. Don't forget to put return on all of it. Subroutine for 1 to 9. Subroutine for LCD display. Clear LCD display, on LCD display, configure LCD. Subroutine for keypad first row, second row, third row, fourth row. So show subroutine for star and hashtag key, special 1, special 2. It's my main program. So configure trees, configure 2 lines matrix, LCD display, check 1, show 2, show 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, show special 1, show special 2. So that's that. Let's just build one more time. So you can use code for yourself, or you can actually check it out on GitHub, register yourself on GitHub, and you can copy the code there. I'll leave the link in the description below, and I'll show you guys what the special actually does. Let me just pause the thing. So I'll just run out of time. So you can leave it down in the comments below and tell me what did I actually write on the LCD display after clicking the special. So here goes, and that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. So let me know in the comments below on what I put the star and hashtag keys are. Thank you very much for watching.